I just wanted to make a video here of my FCA board in response to the one that Luke Morse made. Now, brilliant video. That's the one I originally used to understand this board. The reason why I'm making a video of this particular one, and I'll show you why, is because this particular one is an FCA2 B PCB, so it's slightly different, and yes, it is slightly different. And it's just a few explanations of the differences that I have found so far, and a few answers to a few comments that were made to Luke's one, just to sort of clarify those comments. Now, the first one, let's go to the power. Luke correctly identified the power. Pin 1, 12, pin 2, 5, pin 3 and 4 ground, pin 5, 12, pin 6, 5. So that was correct. You could probably notice that I've only got 3 wires in mine, not all 6 or 5 at least. There is a very good reason behind why I've done that, and that is because this exact board, this particular one, does not come from a System 246 as they originally were in. This particular one has come from a Triforce. In fact, it is a dedicated Mario Kart GP board. It's the newer version for the Mario Kart GP 2, and that's why it's a FCA2B. It's the second version. These particular boards, one thing that I did find out from MAME is that they can't be interchanged. So you can't change a Triforce one with a 246 and 246 one with a Triforce. Reason why, mainly, is because of this PIC chip here. The controls are controlled via this PIC chip. You can tell the difference between the two is FCA P11 and FCA F11 is your Triforce compatible ones, or your newer stuff, including the 246, and your older stuff and the 246 older stuff is FCA F10 and FCA P10. So those are the two types of boards. Now let's get back to this connector here. Mario Kart Arcade GP 1 and Mario Kart Arcade GP 2 have the schematics available publicly, and in this schematics this is how it's pinned out. Pin 1 NC, pin 2 12, pin 3 ground, pin 4 empty, not NC, empty, slightly different, pin 5 12 volts, pin 4 NC. NC stands for not connected. The reason why pin 4 is empty rather than NC is because it's the same as 3, they're both ground. The way you can confirm that is you turn it over, and let's get a zoom up on that. Those 2 pins there, they're both ground and they both correspond to each other. The other thing that I found as well is I decided to investigate further why pin 1 and pin 6 were NC, not connected. So I decided to go through and follow the trace. Well, before I followed the trace, what I did, I got a multimeter and I put the multimeter against this one, which is supposed to be 12, and against that one, which is 12, and they didn't connect. No connectivity between the two. Same with the 2 5s, pin 6 and pin 2. Again, there was no connectivity whatsoever. They did not connect to each other in any way. So then I decided to follow it. So if we follow it quickly, roughly, it comes down here, it goes through, I think that's a capacitor, I think, a surface mount one, then it goes through another surface mount electrolytic capacitor, then it goes to a via, then it comes across, no sorry, it doesn't go through a via, my bad, this thick line going across here, then it goes to a via at that point. That via goes round the back, goes all the way across here, and it links back to this pin here, and it comes up and it stops right there, L1, but there's nothing connected to L1, so it does not, the connection does not go any further. Now again, with Luke's one, he had this area populated. So it's common that you would have to have pin 1 connected to 12 volts. My one, I don't need to because it doesn't go anywhere after this point. Same with pin 6. I looked at pin 6 and tried to figure out. Now pin 6, if you have a look, goes down on the inner line, comes across here, comes down here, and it goes in. Now after it goes in, it's somewhere down here, and I'm not really sure after that because of this connector. But I've tried to look underneath. There's no wires coming out. So I'm assuming that it connects these in some way. I will get my probe out and try and probe it a little bit. Maybe it's connected to one of these pins across here. If it is, then that's a 5 volt. It'll have to be 5 volt will have to be sent through this so I can get this to give me the 5 volts, which should be this first block here, or it's either this side or this side, but one of them is ground. One set is ground, one set is 5 volts. So there it is. The other question that was made as well that I noticed is about these J104, J204, J103, J203. Now you can see my one's got USB connectors on there. This one came with the JST VX connector just across there, the 5 pin, as Luke explains. I desoldered it and I popped these on because I thought it was much better to have these on instead, and they work just fine. This one is your input. That one, the reason why that was never populated even with the J103 connector is because that is your output. This particular board doesn't have any game that uses this particular output, so they never bothered populating it. I decided to populate it, you never know, but they are completely different. You cannot use this pin, this connector, sorry, USB connector, and plug it into the Triforce. It just won't work. That is your output. That is your input. You can tell that via looking at the traces. Your data lines go to this chip here. Let me try and zoom in. There we go. You can see where your data lines are going. They go into there. Your other data lines for this one go here. Go around here, and they go into these. You can just see. So come out here. I think, do they come out from the underside? Yes, they do. You've got them joint there as well, obviously. So that loops it back. Basically, that's looping it back there. But also, your outputs then go elsewhere. So I'm assuming that input, output, that's what it is. You know what I mean? If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me, but that's the way I see it. This connector, I've never understood why they put that there or what it was used for, but I can understand why it's not populated or used. Is, again, if you turn it the other way around, all those connections come over here. So I'm assuming that whatever connects there can also be connected there. Again, I don't know much about this connector. It's a 30 pin connector. Again, 15, 15, 15A, 1 to 15A, 1 to 15B. Just the same as this, 1 to 30A, 1 to 30B. So that's that. So basically they are very slightly different, but they do have the common function. And yes, putting a USB connector does work on it, and it's fine, it's not a problem. This particular one is a UK European board, not a Japanese board, as you can see from Namco Europe Limited, so it doesn't have that weird logo text on there that says high prick or high price or whatever it is. This one doesn't have that written on there. So there we have it. I hope this video has helped with it, with these particular PCBs. I know they're very, very rare, very limited documentation on them, but they're really good to have. My Triforce failed to boot and gave me a JVS IO error until I plugged this one in. It didn't like the Sega one at all. So there we have it. I hope that helps.